Hello again, my little conscripts, and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. In today's episode, we shall be casting our ever-critical eye over another 10th edition Codex Imperial Guard datasheet. And this time, we will be dropping into the battlefield with the Tempestus Aquillions. With the big question being, are they good or are they bad? And the answer being, meh? And so, without further ado, let's dive into this thing. As is tradition, we will start off with an overview of the Aquillions datasheet, looking at the stat line, weapons, war gear, all of that good stuff, before at the end getting into the tactics and how you can use these guys on the battlefield and their strengths and weaknesses. Starting off with Statline, we have got a movement of 6 inches, a toughness of 3, a 4+ save, wound 1, leech 7, and OC 1. That is basically the same stat line as a Scion. It is the standard issue Elite Guard infantry stat line. You get an extra pip of save, but you lose a pip of OC. One of the big mistakes that newer players make when they see like a 4+ save over a 5+ save is they think it's going to make Aquillions and Scions and Engineers and Kazakhin so much more survivable. The reality of the situation is that a 4+ save and a 5+ save both mean very little in 40k. You're going to get torn apart in melee by Khorne Berserkers all the same. You're going to get blasted to pieces by Tau plasma weapons or pulse weapons just the same. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if Aquillions had a 5+ save if it meant they were a bit cheaper, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. In truth, the stat line of these guys tells us very little about the unit. What we need to be looking at is weapons, war gear, and abilities. So let's get to that. Point number 1, we've got the unit composition. Unlike Scions and Engineers, who could be taken in 5 to 10-man squads, Aquillions have to be taken in a full 10-man unit, similar to Kazakhin. The Tempestus Aquillion, aka the Sergeant, is equipped with a hotshot las carbine, a sentry flamer, and a close combat weapon. Every other Tempestus Aquillion is equipped with a hotshot las carbine and a close combat weapon. I actually don't want to breeze past that. It's really cool seeing sergeants getting rifles back as an option in the guard. I wish that it was more widespread, but you can see it with Cajuns where you've got the guy with the auto gun. You can see it with the Aquillions with the guy getting the hotshot las carbine. It makes sense that sergeants would be running around with a rifle. I mean, I know it's not great drawing real world comparisons, but it would be like people in the modern military, sergeants, NCOs, running around with like a handgun and a saber. That didn't used to happen. That was something that officers used to do. Never NCOs. So it's cool to see squad leaders getting their rifles back, being more in tune with the men that they're leading. And I do think the idea of pistols and sabers and chainsaws and all that kind of stuff, that should almost be the remit of your officer class, especially in 40k. But let's not get sidetracked. Basically, they all come with a bunch of hotshot las carbines. Now let's look at the Wargear options. What can we swap in? What can we swap out? The Tempestus Aquillion Sentry Flamer can be replaced with one of the following: a Sentry Hotshot Volley Gun or a Sentry Grenade Launcher. Let's go up and take a look at what those do now. The Sentry Flamer ignores cover and is torrent, and essentially is like a standard flamer, except it's a bit more reliable in the number of shots because it fires D6 plus 3. Normal flamers just fire D6. The Sentry Grenade Launcher fires in either frag or crack, similar to your infantry grenade launchers on your guardsman squads. D3 plus 3 with blast, so potential for more shots to be generated against bigger units. Shots, ballistic skill 4+, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. Or you can go for a couple of big punchy shots at strength 9, AP -2, damage D3. Or if you want to have more of a longer ranged infantry clearer, you can go for the Sentry Hotshot Volley Gun, which fires 4 shots, but if you're within half range, 15 inches, it will fire 8 shots at strength 4, AP -1, damage 1. If you're a newer player and you're not sure which of these to go for, the prevailing wisdom is to go with the Sentry Flamer. And the big reason for this being that, unlike the actual Aquillions themselves, the Sentry only hits on a 4+. That's actually quite unreliable. It's very, very swingy. Rarely does it end up being hitting 50% of the time, whereas the Sentry Flamer actually automatically hits. So the grenade launcher and the volley gun look good, but typically their shots are going to go wild, whereas Sentry Flamer automatically hits. So even though arguably it's going to have less shots than the hotshot volley gun, and it might not be as punchy as the crack grenade, the fact that it auto hits means that it's more reliable. So the Flamer tends to be the way to go. Finishing off the other weapon options for the Sergeant, you can replace the hotshot las carbine with a chainsword or a power weapon or hotshot las pistol, and you can just take an additional bolt pistol or hotshot las pistol. In truth, you don't really want to mess around with this. I mean, take the free bolt pistol, why the hell not, or the free hotshot las pistol, why the hell not. But in my opinion, you're better sticking with your hotshot las carbine than messing around with a power weapon. Now, most people will be surprised to hear me say that, because normally when we talk about sergeants, I'm like, give them the best gear all the time. Most of the time, when I talk about giving sergeants best gear, it's plasma pistols. The Tempestus Aquillion can't take a plasma pistol. He is, along with his unit, along with the rest of the guard, fundamentally a shooting unit. And the best shooting you're going to get out of him is his hotshot las carbine. So that should be where the focus is. Moving on to the rest of the unit, one Tempestus Aquilion's hotshot las carbine can be replaced with one of the following: a melter carbine or a plasma carbine. Taking a look at the melter carbine versus plasma carbine, they are essentially shorter ranged versions of the plasma gun and the melter gun, but they have the assault keyword, which means you can move and advance and still shoot them. This is also true for things like the hotshot las carbine. It's a shorter range than a regular hotshot rifle or a hotshot or a las gun, but it does have assault, and it always has 2 shots. In my opinion, I would go for the plasma carbine over the melter carbine. It's just a little too short range. You have to understand that the melter 2 rule only kicks in when you're within half range, so within 5 inches. That's very, very close. For me, I think the plasma carbine just feels better. It's got an 18-inch range. It always fires 2 shots. It's still a plasma gun at the end of the day, so you can supercharge it to make it do some really decent damage. And its 18-inch range pairs nicely with the 18-inch range of the hotshot las carbine. Everything's assault. Everything's firing 2 shots. It just feels a bit neater, feels a bit tidier, feels a bit more natural. As for these final options here, you've got a couple of weird ones, like you can trade out an Aquilion's hotshot las carbine for 2 hotshot las pistols, or up to 2 Aquillions can just get rid of the hotshot las carbines for hotshot las pistols, which are frankly just a downgrade, an absolute downgrade. Do not have a guy running around with 2 las pistols. Do not have anyone running around with las pistol and close combat weapon. It's not like they can take more power swords or anything. Just ignore this one. Ignore this one. Don't bother with it. The only one that you should be interested in these final 3 bullet points is the middle one. One Tempestus Aquilion's hotshot las carbine can be replaced with 1 hotshot long las. The hotshot long las is not assault, so if you're planning on running around with all the time, you might not get to shoot it all that much. But it is just a big shot. Strength 4, AP -2, damage D3. In a unit which doesn't have a lot of special weapons, you shouldn't pass up the few that you get. So, in summary, your Aquillion unit should have a sergeant with a hotshot las carbine and a sentry flamer. You should have an Aquillion with a hotshot long las. And you should have an Aquillion with a plasma carbine, and then you should have 7 Aquillions with hotshot las carbines. Now, the last bit of the datasheet that we have to cover is the abilities, and this truly is the defining part of the datasheet. Up until this point, the Aquillions have had a fairly normal stat line. They've got some cool, quirky weapons, but nothing major in terms of like punch or damage capabilities. You know, like a plasma weapon here, a sniper rifle there. The main reason that you should be thinking about taking Aquillions is because you're going to be utilizing their abilities. They're not a damage dealing unit, they're an ability focused unit. And the first one is probably the most important one, precision drop. This allows you to deep strike within 6 inches of the enemy rather than 9. Now, if you're looking at this data sheet right now, you might be slightly confused because that's a 3, that number there, not a 6. It was recently FAQ'd, it was recently covered in a balanced data slate that all units, not just guard, but all units in the game that could do a 3-inch deep strike ability, like Aquillions, were having that nerfed. And it was being nerfed to 6 inches instead. Now, even with that nerf, this is still a good ability. And this is still arguably the number one reason that you should be taking these guys. There are many secondary objectives that involve you getting to certain parts of the board. You've got engage all fronts to try and get into as many table cores as possible. You have got established locus to, if you can do it in your opponent's deployment zone, to get lots of points that way. You have also got behind enemy lines. You've also got abilities that might require you to try and land on an objective that your opponent has stickied and they've screened you out within 9 inches. Maybe you can get your opponent's home objective. There's lots of different ways that having good maneuverability and being able to deep strike closer than your opponent really wants you to can really open up some avenues for secondaries. And this is what this unit's all about. Precision drop is there to help you get secondary points. That's what you should be thinking about with Aquillions. You shouldn't be thinking about how much damage they're going to do. You should be thinking about what else is in my list. Do I have lots of units that can do primary objectives? Great. Do I have lots of units that can do shooting, that can do damage, like tanks? Great. Do I have units that can do a bit of indirect fire or pseudo indirect fire? Well, Aquillions might be able to help you a little bit there. But the big one is, do I have a unit that's reliably going to help me get secondary objectives, but it's also flexible enough that if those secondaries don't come up as and when I need them, that I'll be able to still use them on the battlefield. That's the big question around Aquillions, and that's what you want to be thinking about with including them in your army. And they're so deep strike focused that they have a second ability, which is all about deep strike as well. Servo Sentry. When this unit is set up on the battlefield using the deep strike ability, the Tempestus Aquillion can shoot with its sentry weapon, its sentry flamer, sentry grenade launcher, or sentry hotshot volley gun, as if it were your shooting phase. The Tempestus Aquillion model is equipped with that weapon until this unit next makes a normal, advance, fallback, or charge move. So in essence, when you deep strike down with your Aquillions, you get to fire the servo sentry, and then when it gets to your next shooting phase, you can shoot with it again. So it actually gets to double fire. So if we look over at the servo sentry, that's not d6 plus 3 shots. That is 2d6 plus 6 shots, because you're getting to fire it twice. The Sentry Flamer combined with Precision Drop can be an absolutely fantastic way of clearing off an enemy home field objective if they have been careless enough to leave something relatively fragile holding it. A unit of cultists, an opposing unit of guardsmen, maybe a small unit of termagants, maybe a lone op character that they thought was safe. Well, between the Sentry Flamer, all those hotshot las carbines, the hot shot long las, and the plasma carbine, and the fact the unit will have things like lethal hits inside a combined arms attachment, which right now is arguably the best attachment. These guys are perfect for clearing away a tenuously held objective. Now, whilst not strictly a ability, it is important to note that the keyword for Aquillions does include both grenades and smoke. That does mean that you can deep strike down within 6 inches of someone and grenade them, and also means that you can, in your turn, pop smoke on them to make them mass one to hit and to give them the benefit of cover. Now that just about covers everything on the datasheet, and we've even touched upon a few tactics there towards the end. The big question is now, are Aquillions good? What are their pros and cons? Well, the truth is that Aquillions should be a good unit. They have got some very potent abilities. And whilst they don't have as many special weapons as I would like, really they should be having 2 or 3 plasma carbines. One is just a bit of a joke, really. It's a bit silly. I don't know why they've done that. But even with that being said, the double shooting servo sentry, and then you've got grenades, and then you've got lethals if you're in combined arms. The unit can relatively effectively assassinate the kind of targets it wants to go after. And furthermore, the meta has actually shifted in favor of Aquillions, because it used to be that I said they were kind of trash and that they shouldn't really bother with them because we were in a vehicle and monster heavy meta, and well, one melter carbine wasn't going to cut the mustard there. But now that we're in more of an elite infantry meta and very much a combat meta as well, being able to deep strike close to people, maybe get those angles that normal scions can't get, and like I said, being able to grenade and flamers are more relevant against them as well, and also having lethals, all of that good stuff, that should make Aquillions more relevant than ever. And I actually think that they are. But there is a big asterisk, a big caveat, a big sword hanging over them, a bit of a fly in the ointment. They're a bit expensive. They're 110 points. They copped the double nerf when they first came out. They lost the 3-inch precision strike. I mean, everyone did, but still, they lost it. And then they got hit with the points. That's 110 points is a bit too much. I think they should go back down. I think they were like 85 points. I think they should be about 95 points. Because at the moment, they're competing with Kazakin. And you stack Kazakin up against these guys, and Kazakin just kind of win every time. Kazakin have got Scout. It's not Deep Strike, but it's still, they've got movement shenanigans. They can order themselves. They can like move around. Aquillions can't. Aquillions can't be joined by anyone either. So it's not like you could Deep Strike them down with a command squad and then they can receive orders. That would be great, and that would solve the special weapon issue as well, but they can't do that. So typically they don't have orders unless you want to start them on the board, and then it's like, well, I'm not using any of their abilities then. So Aquillions are just a bit expensive. I think if they were a bit cheaper, or they could have someone join them, they would be great. At the moment, without those things, they are just an okay unit. And I think that's the important thing to take away from this. They're not absolutely trash. If you put them in your army, you're not tying one hand behind your back or anything like that. They're fine. They're not great. Their damage output could be better. They could have easier access to orders. It could be a bit cheaper. And there is always a bit of an issue with the fact that you have to take a 10-man squad, which means that even though they can deep strike 6 inches away, it does make them struggle with secondaries sometimes if your opponent can screen them out, because screening out a 10-man squad can be achieved fairly easily. So they've got some problems. But I don't think any of those problems couldn't be solved, because the abilities they've got fundamentally are okay. They're decent. I don't think any of those problems couldn't be solved by either dropping the points, either sort of between 85 and 95, or giving them some leaders, or letting them take a few more special weapons. You know what? I'd keep them at 110 points if they could take 3 plasma carbines. Sure. They can only take 1. Hang them back down to 85. I think that's where they need to be. So in summary, Tempestus Aquillions are a fairly decent data sheet with some good abilities and maybe a little bit lacking in special weapons, but overall not bad. We're kind of just waiting on a points cut for them. So if you're watching this video in the future and they have gone down in points, huzzah! Consider them a good unit and consider putting them in your army. Well, at least that's what I think. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you think Aquillions are good? Do you think that they're becoming more relevant with infantry being a thing and lethal hits being an option for them in the right detachment? Or do you think that they do need a points cut to really start shining? If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to go ahead and smash that like button. And as always, subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing, truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members, so thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.